Hello, in this video we are going to have a look into a first use case to better understand the Execute module. This will be a very basic use case, and in this basic use case we will assume that the planner fully resumes all steps. So just to have like a little understanding of the process, in the previous video I recommended to roll out the execute mode in a step-by-step approach, and this step foresees this process foresees three steps. First, that the planner gets familiar with the execute mode and fully resumes all steps. Then second, the chief operator is integrated, and third, all the operators are integrated. But here in this basic use case, we will assume that we follow the step-by-step approach, and here we will just focus on the step number 1. That means that the planner sets all shop floor progress data, the planner checks if all shop floor data is consistent and complete, and the planner finally approves all set shop floor progress data. Okay, so then let us have a look into my sample data that you know already, because this sample data I use for most of my videos in this academy. And here now, if we want to start setting shop floor progress data, what we do is we change to the tab Execute. And here then what happens is that there is an automatic scrolling. This automatic scrolling has two lines or dates that are taken for this automatic scrolling. So at the left hand side you can see that the right planning start line is taken as the left border here, and on the right side the time now line is taken for the automatic scrolling. And that is on purpose, because like within this time window here between the red and the green line, the potential progress can be done. Because like we know, all data that is finished and approved already is positioned left from the red line. So every data that needs to be set to be started or finished will then be positioned left from that line. And like a started or finished task can never be in the future, and the future is right from the green line, and therefore it makes sense to focus into that area here. By the way, in the Execute tab you have got like the job view as we are in here now, and you have got the resource view also. So now we will remain in the resource view, and we will now assume that we want to set the progress of this Monday here. Okay, therefore we are zooming a bit more into the Monday section and have a closer look. So first of all, what we see is that obviously also the color scheme has changed, because the color scheme in the Execute tab by default is a shop floor data color scheme. And this color scheme says that every task that is finished and approved to be set as such is black. Every task that is under execution currently, so every task that is started, is marked in green. So then what we can also see, we can see yellow tasks. These yellow tasks are like in that moment right now startable. So that means that the color scheme helps you to identify which of your tasks can be started potentially. And here this task of job number 3 is potentially startable, as this belongs to a job that has the status released, and within the routing it follows a task that is finished already. While if we can see here, job number 4 is waiting for that predecessing task to be finished until it will turn yellow. So therefore, it is just for you, it makes it easier to identify in all the list of your tasks, those tasks that are A, belonging to a release job, and B, that are startable following to the routing structure. And all the rest is marked in gray in that color scheme. Okay, so now let's make some progress. And for setting the shop floor progress, let's have a look here at the right side of the Execute tab. You see that panel in here, and this panel includes the functionality to bring in the information of your shop floor progress. So let's now bring in some shop floor progress, and first let's assume that here this task of this job is finished now. So, and to do so, just go onto that task, mark it by left mouse click, so that this task now is selected. And which task is selected you can also see here in the upper part of that panel on the right side. So here it is task 20 of job 2. And we want to set the finish date of that selected task. And to do so, we have got here these black buttons. So if the task is finished right now, then you can click on that button. You can also click on the finished as planned button, and then the time is directly set that was scheduled before. So here this is 8:40 as the 10:40 as the finishing time. Or if it is a different time, so it is not now and it's not the time as we planned it, but another one, so then we can select this set finish time button, and with the time picker you can then select which time you finished this task in reality. So here let's assume that we finished this task as we planned it, 10:40 on the 13th of April. So, and if you then have another look down here, then you can also set the resource. So currently machine 2 is foreseen for that task, and it was started on that machine. Therefore, it would not make much sense to change that in here. So for that reason, we just add the finishing time of that task by pressing the shop floor button, shop floor data button. And with that, we are adding this set of data into the update storage. And this is indicated by this number 1 here, means there is one set of data for the shop floor progress in the update storage. And with that, we're creating the yellow line, as I explained in a previous video. So that is the line of the latest feedback that you have set. And this is here the end of that task. Okay, so now let's assume as we finished this task in here that we then directly start the successing one that is waiting in the queue here on machine 2. So we set also start as planned here in this upper section with the green buttons, which are foreseen to set the starting time. So here again, if we would start right now, which here in my case makes no sense, because right now is somewhere like even on Tuesday, and in my sample data we are creating the progress as it was made yesterday, and therefore right now makes no sense here. So, and it makes sense to say, okay, I started that as planned, as I finished that task as planned too, which is the predecessor. Okay, so also machine 2, I don't need to select a different machine as I want to keep it on machine 2. I set the shop floor data button for this starting time and add the second set of data into the update storage. Okay, so now let's assume that for some reason, normally you would start also that task, but let's assume here in my example that due to some reason you do not start that task of that job. So we don't set any starting time. But what we do is, in the meantime, we finished that task of job number 1, so the task 20. So, and now let's assume we finish that a bit earlier, not at 3 o'clock, but at a quarter to 3. So we have been faster. So, and therefore what we do is we set the finish time on the 30th at a quarter to 3. Okay, so we add this, and now we see the pulse 2 line, the yellow line jumps to a quarter to 3 on the same date, and this means that I have finished that task a bit earlier. So now let's assume this is all progress that you made during the shift in here. So, and if you now approve that, then you directly see, or in before you approve that, you directly see that we have got like a lot of checked tasks. So these tasks all include no issues, but we have got 2 tasks that are marked with an exclamation mark. So, and if I'm clicking now to approve these 3 sets of data, then I get a summary. And the summary says, okay, I've got 3 tasks with shop floor data, all checked, fine. So I've got 0 task with a high difference. So this would mean if there would be 1 task with a significant difference, it would mean that, for example, you planned a task with a duration of 1 day, but your shop floor progress data says it is just half an hour. So if you have got really a significant difference, then it would be listed here, just to give you as the planner the chance to have a look into that, if that is really meant to be that way, or if there might be a mistake. Then there is a section of those tasks that have an exclamation mark and that will get pushed. One example in here is this task of this job in here that we did not start, as there in our sample was an issue and this task could not be started, and this is indicated here. It says, okay, in comparison to what you have planned, there are tasks that have potentially missing feedback. They are not started, even though they should have been started. So this is indicating this section or category of potentially missing shop floor feedback. Again, this is indicating if you have got a task within your schedule that should have been started in the meantime, we know, okay, this task here is finished, and if that task is finished at this time here where you can see the yellow line, then following our initial plan, you should have started that task in the meantime, but there is no information that it is started. And then we have got another line. If you have got the same structure concerning an end date, so this is referring here in my sample to that task of that job number 4, because in the meantime this task should have been ended, but it is no ending date set. So this is indicated here in the summary, and this needs to be checked by the planner. Furthermore, there is another line that is focusing on those tasks that are set on hold, but I will jump over that on hold topic, as this will be in the focus of an upcoming video. So here the summary helps the planner to check if the shop floor data that is in the update storage is consistent. And here mainly you should focus on these 3 lines in here. And once you have checked the summary and you have checked if there is any missing feedback or if there is any inconsistency, and your conclusion is I'm ready to approve all given data. Here in my example, approve the 3 data set. So then you will trigger a rescheduling based on this shop floor progress data. So, and let's have a look here now into this example. What will happen if I approve this data? So first of all, of course, this task here will be approved to be finished with the given end date. Furthermore, this task will be set to the status started with that start date. So then, let's see to our 2 tasks with the exclamation mark. So the first task here is not finished yet, still under execution. It means this task will be prolonged until or to this yellow line. And the yellow line with the approval will be the new position of the red line. So we'll shift the red line to the yellow line. This task here will be extended accordingly. And this task here, as this still has a status planned and it's not started yet, will be rescheduled. It needs to be postponed. And this will be then here postponed to the new position of the red line. So, and let's do that now. So I now go to that button here that says update schedule with shop floor data, and I press that, and now I'm triggering a rescheduling, and now everything is considered accordingly, and I see here what happened. So I see that this task here is prolonged as this is not finished yet and still under execution. And I see that this task of this job number 2 here needs to be rescheduled at a later date, and the earliest possible starting date is the new planning start line. And with that, all other tasks here are rescheduled accordingly, as I needed to push that task of that job. And if I am going now into my job view, then I can see that luckily, currently, this did not lead to another delay of another job. So, but we will see in upcoming samples or use cases that this is not always the case, unfortunately. This was the first basic use case to explain the execute mode. I thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video.